So I'm testing. Can you hear me?
Добрый день, дорогие друзья. Итак,
good afternoon, dear friends. I'm happy to welcome all of the participants of the 11 Russian-Norwegian cross-border cooperation days. So this is not our first meeting, this is our 11th meeting, as I already said. The format is a bit different, but it's good that we have this opportunity to see each other, even though over the internet, and to hear each other and to exchange opinions. And of course, these opinions, these contacts are important during this COVID age. And it is important that we continue our discussions about how we build our partnerships in economy, culture, education, healthcare, and other sectors. How do we preserve the experience that we have gained in the previous years, and also, of course, look into the future about and see how we're going to live in these post-COVID times. But before we start, there are some housekeeping notes. Please make sure that the Russian speakers should use the Russian channel, and our foreign partners, please make sure you select the English channel, and our interpreters will help us hear and understand each other. And so if everyone's happy, we will start. Once again, I'm very happy to welcome you to the 11th Russian-Norwegian cross-border cooperation days. And now I'd like to give the floor to acting governor of the Murmansk region, Olga Kuznetsova. Thank you very much, Yuri. I'm very happy to welcome all of you on behalf of Murmansk regional governor, Andrei Chibis. I'm welcoming all colleagues who are on the line today. As when we meet online, we always say that we're looking forward to physical meetings, but you know that we are continuing our cooperation, and it hasn't stopped for a single day, we can say. Just recently, the governor had a fourth meeting of Barents governors to discuss our experiences in overcoming the pandemic, in providing support to businesses. And I must say that the experiences that of our Finnish, Norwegian, and Swedish colleagues, we are using it and implementing our work with regards to our cooperation with Norway. Despite the pandemic, our foreign trade in the 8th month of this year has grown by 23% versus 2019. So this is a very good result, and it shows that our business has increased its collaboration, and we hope that this trend will continue. I would also like to note that this year we are celebrating an anniversary of our cooperation with Norway in the field of nuclear safety. Just recently, we visited the site in Andreeva Bay that was built together, and we were very happy to see our Norwegian colleagues for the first time in after a long period, and it was really a very warm, friendly meeting. We were almost crying, and the colleagues who had started this project, they were very happy to see each other right there on the site. And of course, everyone is looking forward to the resumption of these face-to-face meetings. I would like to note that in 2020, the region, our region has made a focus on the green agenda. You know that in the end of last year, one of the facilities on the border to Norway was closed. That's the smelter in the settlement of nickel. And this year, we are introducing a number of stimulus measures in order to implement new environmentally friendly projects. One of examples of this is a project by Kola Mining Metallurgical Company to establish a modern, environmentally friendly production of copper. And this project will reduce sulfur dioxide emissions by 85%. And this is extremely important for our region. We are also implementing projects in green power. The Kola wind farm is is very well into construction phase. It's not far from the coast of the Barents Sea. It will have a capacity of 200 megawatt. And we are also working on projects in hydrogen productions. That is Russia's priority in energy sector and industry, and the projects that are under the discussion in the Murmansk region, they are in the federal atlas for hydrogen energy projects. Also in 2020 and 2021, we've been active in the Clean Arctic project that aims to clean up the coastal areas in the first place. We have actively involved our people, our public into these activities. And I must say that this conscious choice and the activism of the local people has significantly changed. So when we announce some environmental activity, some environmental campaign, it takes only 1 or 2 days to recruit the required number of volunteers, either from the general public or from corporations. And that is a very good indicator for us. And we've had more than 3,000 people participate in these campaigns already. I would like to underscore once again that in addition to economy, humanitarian contacts are very important for us. We have implemented 20 projects in the Kola Arctic program, totaling more than 10 million euros. And it's important for us to continue this cooperation and continue the increase the quality of this cooperation. And we hope that we're going to have the opportunity to do that. And once again, I would like to welcome all of you and wish us all a fruitful day. Thank you very much, Olga, for your welcoming remarks and for an interesting and detailed account and the figures and facts that you have provided. They really make us think that we are going to move forward. And I would like to give the floor to Björn Ingemo, Chair of Troms and Finnmark County Government.
Thank you. Dear colleagues, dear friends, let me begin by thanking you for the invitation to today's plenary session about challenges and opportunities of Russian-Norwegian cross-border cooperation. I'm glad that the annual Russian-Norwegian cross-border cooperation days are still be held, despite the challenge of our days, the COVID-19 pandemic. It is good that digital solutions give us the possibility to keep our relations warm. In this regard, I would like to thank Vice Governor of Murmansk for following up the initiative to provide a forum to discuss COVID-19 among regions of the Barents cooperation. I'm very glad that we have this platform for exchange of such information in the border area. Norway has declared full reopening of the Norwegian. I honestly hope for return to normality for our Russian friends too, that physical cross-border contacts and cooperation is very close in the time. However, we are still waiting for national and international authorities to find solution on vaccine approach that let us travel across the border again. Dear friends, cross-border cooperation important the socio-economic development of our border region and for people living here. Therefore, I'm happy to inform you that Norway has elected a new parliament and we have a new government with a new political platform. The Norwegian government will further develop and strengthen the bilateral cooperation with Russia and highlight cooperation in the field of ocean, resources, climate, and coast-related questions in the Barents Sea and in the Arctic. Within the Barents cooperation, our government highlights cross-border cooperation and strengthening of the people-to-people cooperation. Such signals from my capital are instant vitamins to our everyday work. Norway and Russia share a boundary in the Barents Sea, and we have mutual responsibility for protecting the environment and safeguarding shared population of fish. Norway and Russia agreed last week on a fishery agreements. It is the most important and largest bilateral fisheries agreement that Norway has ever had. This agreement also contains a joint Russian-Norwegian scientific research program on marine resources. Such agreement secures a long-term and sustainable management and take care of the world's largest cod stock and other species in the Barents Sea. I would like to highlight the importance of agreements. The agreement between our countries expired in 2020, and we need updating and signing of new cooperation agreements, which will create a strong basis for our further collaboration. The Polar Arctic Program is one of the most important financial tools to implement cooperation across the borders in Barents region. People-to-people cooperation, culture, and other softer values, as well as the revitalization and support of tourism, are clearly present in the next program for Polar Arctic. In the upcoming Barents meeting next week, a new financial mechanism will be adopted. The Barents financial mechanism will be a new source of funding for the Barents cooperation from January 2022. This is an essential tool to stimulate activities in the working groups, as well as the financial mechanism and agreements in various fields. I want also to highlight the significant role of the Norwegian Barents Secretariat as a facilitator for Norwegian-Russian project cooperations. Troms and Finnmark County Government will contribute to a strengthening and development of this cross-border cooperation institution. I'm a great enthusiast for the Barents cooperation. This is an important area for dealing with our joint challenges as well for exploring the opportunities for cooperation in the Barents region. The next meeting of the Barents Regional Council will take place next week in Tromsø, back-to-back the Barents Ministerial meeting. These days we will discuss a wider range of Barents issues. The meeting in Tromsø will be our first physical one since February 2020. We are really looking forward to seeing our Barents colleagues again. I wish you a successful border cooperation days. Thank you.
Господин председатель, спасибо вам большое.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, for the good news that you brought and for your enthusiasm that you display in our collaboration. Welcoming remarks from the Director of the Second European Department of Russian Foreign Affairs, Mr. Belyaev.
Микрофон включите, пожалуйста, Сергей Сергеевич.
Please make sure your microphone is on, Sergey.
Сейчас микрофон включат у Сергея Сергеевича.
Just hold on a second.
Да, пожалуйста.
Sergey will switch in. Can you hear me now? Yes, we do. Yes, please. Good afternoon, dear friends and dear colleagues. Thank you very much. I'm very pleased to speak before you and see all of you I'm very happy to greet the organizers and participants of the 11th Russian-Norwegian Cross-Border Cooperation Days. Today, we can confidently say that this forum has already established itself as a very useful arena for the promotion of mutually beneficial ties between border regions of Russia and Norway. And we are very pleased to note that the relevance of the topics that are discussed today, that is trade and economic cooperation, cultural and humanitarian collaboration, and of course the climate agenda that is very relevant today. And it's important that attention will be given to the preservation of our common memory of World War II and prevention of falsification of history and heroization of Nazism. And I would like to use this opportunity to congratulate all of you with the 77th anniversary of the freeing of Northern Norway by the Red Army that is celebrated these days. And of course, the Murmansk region in a way is a locomotive, a driving force of developing cooperation between our countries. So that's the region that is very active in contacts with the Northern Norwegian regions, and that has to do with both geographical proximity to Norway, but also the many years of contacts and cooperation within the Barents Cooperation. And we must say that our countries are quite effective in collaborating on the in the Barents Euro-Arctic Council and the Barents Regional Council. Norway has just finished its chairmanship in the Barents Council. In several days, the chairmanship in the Barents Regional Council will be handed over to the Nenets Autonomous Okrug, and we hope that it will serve to increase the role of Russian regions in Barents cooperation in general. And it will also contribute to Russian chairmanship in the BEAC in 2023-2025. I would also like to note a constructive dialogue between Russia and Norway within the Arctic Council. This year, Russia took over the chairmanship of the Arctic Council, and Norway will take the baton from us in 2023. And we are confident that both our and Norwegian chairmanships will coincide in their priorities. As part of Russian chairmanship, we have planned more than 100 events, most of which will take place in Russian regions, including the Murmansk region. And I'm confident that the exchange of opinions between the authorities, businesses, expert community of our two countries during this forum will facilitate equitable and mutually beneficial cooperation in borderland and promotion of new projects for the interests of residents of border areas. So the experience of discussing relevant issues in this format over the many years, and then the implementation of practical implementation of the agreements will also contribute to improving collaboration between other Russian regions and Norway. I would like to wish all participants of the forum a fruitful day, interesting and useful discussions, and what is especially relevant these days, good health. So take care of yourselves. Thank you very much, Sergey. We will take care of ourselves, and please do care of yourself. And now we're going to have a welcome address by Deputy Head of Department for Integration Projects and CIS countries in the Ministry of Economic Development, Anna Popova.
Thank you very much, Yuri. Dear participants of today's meeting, dear Olga and colleagues, I'm happy to welcome all of you at today's event. And thanks to the government of Murmansk region for the invitation to speak here. I would like to notes that in spite of the epidemic, the tradition of this event is still ongoing, and this forum brings together the interested parties from the both sides of the border. Indeed, Norway is an important partner of the Russian regions, and the specific geographic position of Murmansk region makes it important to maintain the project initiatives targeted at the improvement of living standards in our countries. Murmansk region is developing trade and humanitarian cooperations with several Norwegian regions, and this year it ranks second in the trade turnover with Norway. We have the relevant legislation and the various projects in various fields. The platforms for common dialogue are diverse, just like Sergei mentioned. We have cooperation within Barents Euro-Arctic region, Norwegian Barents Secretariat, and of course the cross-border cooperation program Call-Arctic. The Ministry of Economic Development of Russia, as the national authority, currently jointly with our Ministry of Foreign Affairs and our Norwegian and Swedish and Finnish colleagues, are taking immediate participation in development and monitoring of this program. For the current program period, we can see broad representation from Murmansk region in the projects. Currently, we have 25 projects ongoing. As it was mentioned, for over 10 million euros, and the majority of these projects, 20, are being implemented together with Norwegian partners. An example of joint collaboration provides good results, and we can see that already. For example, the infrastructure project for repair of the most worn-out parts of the Kola motorways. More than 60,000 meters of railings are improved, and the optimal for the northern areas asphalt covers are being developed. All of these activities provide safer travel for motorists, and hopefully after the borders are open again, we will have more tourist flows. Also, I would like to draw attention to the project for recovery and restoration of the Arctic coast. Biological technology has been developed to combat oil spills in the Arctic. Also, there are projects targeted at experience exchange in education, volunteer work, and other fields. All of this partnership gives additional impetus to social and economic development of border areas, both in Murmansk region and Norway. All of these initiatives are significant, and they bring benefits to common people, create more jobs, and create better opportunities for travel. Also, I would like to emphasize the important event for Murmansk region and for the neighboring counties of Norway. That is the shutdown of the smelter in Nickel late last year. Sulfur dioxide emissions have reduced, and this solution was one of the outcomes of the working group under the Intergovernmental Commission for Economic and Science Cooperation. Also, based on the working group meeting in 2018, a decision was made to intensify Norwegian-Russian cross-border cooperation for 2018-2022, and its provisions are being actively implemented, including the projects of Call-Arctic, development of tourist and recreation cluster, cultural links, etc. And importantly, based on the situation with the pandemic, all of these events are being adjusted to the online format. And in conclusion, I would like to wish all of the participants today, all participants of the roundtable discussions, fruitful work and further cooperation developments. Thank you very much. Thank you, Anna, for your best wishes to our participants. And now welcoming remarks from the trade representative of Russia in Norway, Alexander Anakin.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Yes, we can hear you well. Yes. Dear ladies and gentlemen, dear colleagues, let me greet you and thank you for the opportunity to speak at the Russian-Norwegian cross-border cooperation days, which have established itself as an efficient platform for good neighborly dialogue. Luckily, due to different situation in the world, we can say that we have overcome an active phase of the economic crisis that was caused by the corona virus. The most economies have now recovered, and future looks quite bright. And it goes both for traditional sectors of economy and for new green branches. Russia is actively working on introducing carbon-free technologies, and for example, Russian companies are actively developing competences in using hydrogen. And in 2023, Russia will launch the production of hydrogen-driven transport. We know that Norway already has green sector competences. We know that alternative energy and reduction of emissions and circular economy are one of the priorities for the new Norwegian government. And in that respect, I believe that we need to activize and develop Russian-Norwegian cooperation in these fields to make up for the lost time due to the pandemic. We should look into the possibility of organizing different branch-specific events, and also discuss this in the working group meetings of we should note that Norway is quite active. Just last year, there was a meeting of bilateral meetings of intergovernmental commissions with Finland and Sweden, where the cooperation in the green sector was one of the key subjects. And I would like to emphasize and call and encourage the Norwegian partners to be more active in the dialogue on the green agenda. And our trade representation is ready to provide the assistance in organizing events on. And as a trade representative, I should note the overall positive trend in Russian-Norwegian trend in 2021. According to the Norwegian statistics, in the 3 quarters, our trade more than $2 billion, and it has increased by 58% over the same period of 2020. And it shows the active development in bilateral trade, but there's still a great potential for further growth and investment. And finally, Vladimir Putin spoke about this at the ASEAN summit in 2018, that in the coming 6 years, the transit of cargoes through Russia must be increased 4 times, and the time of travel from the Russian Far East to the western border must be reduced to 7 days. And Kaliningrad is now getting ready to become a major railway hub between the Far East and Northern Europe. And cargo flow through Northern Sea route should increase to 80 million tons by 2024. So the development of Northern Sea route has confirmed the safety and popularity of the Russian Arctic and the Northern Sea route as one of the shortest international trade corridors. Russia is still interested in partners for developing this promising trade route. And in that sense, border countries have a competitive advantage and great potential. And I would like to thank you and wish all participants fruitful contacts in the sidelines of this meeting. Thank you very much, Alexander. We do hope that the new meetings will come very soon, and we would really like them to be physical. And now I would like to give the floor to Evgeny Nikora, Deputy Speaker of the Murmansk Regional Duma. Evgeny, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, dear colleagues, dear friends. I welcome all the participants of the Days of Russian-Norwegian Cross-Border Cooperation. It is an important event that gives an opportunity to align our watch and make sure we are on the same page in many areas, covering many aspects of interregional cooperation between the countries. The problem of cross-border cooperation is reflected in the work of Standing Committee of Parliament Association of Northwest Russia for Interparliamentary Cooperation, which is coordinated by Murmansk Regional Duma. Annually, the committee discusses the experience of cross-border cooperation of specific areas of Northwest Russia. And of course, Murmansk region. We are satisfied to see that our multi-year cooperation with Norway bring good fruit. Already has been mentioned 25 years of successful implementation of the program for nuclear safety, and thanks to the huge work that has been done by our countries, the technical territory of the Andreeva Bay, Segrao, is becoming a unique center for radioactive waste handling, which is one of the kind in the world. Considering the progress that we made in the technologies, we have all the necessary means to get rid of the hazardous legacy. We are thankful to our Norwegian colleagues for their contribution to this very important cause. I think it was correct to say that the pandemic that struck the world has become a serious challenge to us and our projects, but we have found ways to cooperate and we continue fruitful work. I am glad to see that this year, a number of micro projects were launched in many spheres: environment, tourism, volunteer work, also business contacts are being maintained. In the near 5 years, Murmansk Regional Duma expects to continue cooperation with our Norwegian colleagues, and I would like to outline the priorities in this work. First of all, these are the green economy projects, including renewable energy sources and development of the regional economy for sustainable development, including the Arctic marine environment. Of course, considering the pandemic and post-pandemic challenges, the digitalization of this service is important in all spheres. I believe that Murmansk region has something to present and to share with our Norwegian colleagues, and I hope that our Norwegian colleagues can say the same. We believe it important to continue the work for elimination of the accumulated environmental damage in all areas, considering our positive experience. Also, projects targeted at improvement of the living environment for the Arctic residents is important, including the indigenous small-numbered people of the North and development of the unique tourist projects. I will remind you that this year, the chairmanship in the Arctic Council has been taken over by Russia, and the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Sergei Lavrov, mentioned in May this year that in the forthcoming 2 years, Russia will be promoting the agenda of balanced, sustainable development of the Arctic in social, environmental, and economic terms. The improvement of welfare and the life quality of the people is the priority. A number of events are envisaged to preserve cultural and historic heritage, including the linguistic heritage of the North. This activity is especially important in the context of the UN International Decade of the Indigenous Languages in 2022-2032. Thus, Murmansk Regional Duma, as the legislation body responsible for international cooperation in the northwest of Russia, is envisaging to implement to the maximum in their agenda the priorities that were outlined by the Russian Federation in terms of its chairmanship in the Arctic Council. Also, I believe it is important to ensure consistency of the Arctic agenda for next generations of the politicians. Of course, this will facilitate further regional cooperation. Dear colleagues, we have something that is always valid, and this is our historical heritage based on trust between our nations. These days we celebrate 77 years of defeat of German Nazi troops in the High North and liberation of East Finnmark by the Red Army. Tomorrow, on the 22nd of October, representatives of Murmansk Regional Duma will commemorate the memories of Russian and Norwegian patriots in Междуречье, Dolina, Slavy, and Titovka. I will emphasize that the people of the northern territories of our countries, Norway and Russia, have common understanding of importance to keep the memory of the Soviet soldiers and Norwegian patriots who gave their lives during the World War II. And we, the citizens, must do everything to retain the importance of this understanding. Dear colleagues, in conclusion, I would like to emphasize that I believe we will overcome all challenges. We have always been able to keep up constructive interaction, and I wish you good and fruitful work and good health. Let's keep in touch. Dear Evgeny Viktorovich, yes, we will keep in touch. And now we come down to the discussion, but before I would like to address the speakers who are going to speak. I understand how much you're waiting for physical meetings, for communication, but please keep your speeches to 4 minutes limit because we have next events scheduled. I remind you that we are at the plenary session of the cross-border cooperation between Russia and Norway. And this is the 11th days of cross-border cooperation. And I would like to grant the floor to the General Consul of the Kingdom of Norway in Murmansk, Astrid Nærum. Ms. Nærum.
Thank you so much. First of all, I would like to thank the organizers for setting up this meeting in spite of all the difficulties caused by the pandemic situation. Last year, we were totally in a digital solution for the cross-border cooperation days. This year, we have a hybrid organization, and I must say, we from the Consulate General of Norway really appreciate that we have been welcomed into Vtaraja here in Nikel. And we always feel very welcome here. So this reminds us of how the cross-border cooperation days should be when we all meet. Meanwhile, I'm very happy to see on the screen so many high-level participants and also participants who I know have a burning interest, a real enthusiasm for our cross-border cooperation. Our main focus here in the North would be, on behalf of the Consulate General, not only to follow up on national politics, on Barents cooperation, on the Arctic cooperation, but also to keep an eye on the people-to-people cooperation. And this is what we all miss these days due to the pandemic. And one of the things we do have in the North, which I believe is quite unique not only in Europe, but in the world, is that we have these cross-border passes, which makes it possible for people living in the cross-border region to easily cross the border. This is a privilege which we shall take very good care of, and we are all, I think, waiting impatiently for the borders to open so it can be taken into use again. During the seminars today and tomorrow, we will look into items which are important to all of us. We share a common challenge in the north. Whether you are in Norway, in Russia, or in Finland, we like to keep our population living in the north. We need to make living conditions so attractive that people do not only stay, but hopefully young people will return after completing their studies further south. And this challenge to not only keep people in the north, but also to create attractive jobs, and also for those who have jobs to offer, to get employees to come and to stay. This is a challenge which is exactly identical whether you are in Norway, in Russia, or in Finland, I believe. So I'm very optimistic for our business seminar later during these days, that not only will we hear interesting presentations, but also might some new synergies be created, and the sharing of experience will benefit more than maybe those present right here today. We will also have, during the cross-border days, this very important historical seminar, and I'm quite impressed that the participants here have been actually following up on this for many years during these cross-cooperation days, but all the while succeeding in making the topics interesting, the discussions interesting, and that it's going on both sides of the border. First here during the cross-border days, and then it continues in Kirkenes. And I believe it's very important that history is not forgotten. And for those who lives up here, it's the historic events are ever present, and it's a living memory. So I agree totally with Mr. Nikora that these are events which are important and shall be honored as at the occasion when it is possible. During our cross-cooperation days, we will also be able to present you with some cultural events. We are making one concert from the Norwegian broadcasting company NRK. They have offered us a concert which we will be very happy to share with you. So altogether, I think that these cross-border days this year, they will be a remembrance of how it was when we all met, and hopefully next year we will all meet in person. So by this, I will end my speech to make room for the others, and I wish everyone a most successful cross-border cooperation days. Thank you.
Спасибо большое. Спасибо, госпожа консул.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Ms. Consul. And now we are moving over to Kirkenes, and we will give the floor to Russia's Consul General in Kirkenes, Nikolai Konygin.
Good afternoon, dear friends and colleagues. I'm glad to welcome all of you to the 11th days of Norwegian-Russian cross-border cooperation days. And it's a good tradition that reflects the high level of interaction between our countries. We set the standard and the example of the international relations that have not slackened. Even during the pandemic times, we manage, even online, to hold our events, and hopefully we will soon get to physical contacts. Specifically would like to emphasize the wartime memorial work. This is, as it has been emphasized, our common history. And these days we celebrate the 77 years of liberation of East Finnmark. And also we would like to thank our Norwegian colleagues for the attention to the memory of the Soviet soldiers, for the continuation of the work to identify the soldiers, and for the huge work for the construction of new memorials. The key is cooperation between the people, or people-to-people contacts. It means high level of trust, and wish to improve our good neighborhoods. And these are the factors that show the stable and positive cross-border interaction. Our common border is not a division line. The challenges that Russia and Norway experience are common. In this sense, our border brings us together, and in many issues, our position coincides. The good neighborhood between Russia and Norway have many centuries behind, and the addressing of the current issues is seen in the bilateral projects. I am glad to see the interest to joint projects and improvements in the areas of safety, economy, fishery, culture, research, etc. Experience exchange and the interaction between our countries is important for both of us and for improvement of our cooperation. I wish all of you good, fruitful discussion to discover new prospects of our fruitful cooperation. Thank you. Thank you, Nikolai. I think you said key words that our border is not a division line, but this is what brings us together. And I think this is what we all share here. And I would like to grant the floor to the head of Pechenga municipality, Andrei Kuznetsov. The floor is yours.
Good afternoon, dear participants of this plenary session. It's already the second time that the Russian-Norwegian cross-border cooperation days take place in a special format because of the pandemic. The pandemic has impacted all spheres of society, and it has also had an impact on the borderland. Things that used to be commonplace, crossing the border on a daily basis, has been interrupted and for a long time. Cross-border cooperation is about increasing good neighborhood via human contacts. Yes, we are finding technical solutions that do not always work well, and sometimes they're totally useful, because how can you organize an online hockey match or a swimming competition or a joint tea party of the veterans? In September, I had the pleasure to meet and talk my colleague from Sør-Varanger, Lena Berging. We discussed the situation in our municipalities and the program of these cross-border cooperation days. We also had some laugh, some fun, despite the language barrier and the quality of connection. But we're still looking forward to physical meetings. And we decided that this year we should have some number of people present in the audience, and the speakers who are able to come tomorrow and today, they will be welcome at second school, given the current restrictions. The Green Business Seminar, where companies working on the green agenda will be present, and it will start right after this plenary session. I welcome all of you to follow the broadcast on YouTube. This summer, we resumed live contacts with the Norwegian Consulate General in Murmansk. Tomorrow we'll have a consular hour as a live session, but with a limited number of participants. And as Mrs. Consul has mentioned, we are going to have a live broadcast, a live concert today, and we will also discuss. There will also be a crash course of Norwegian language. This year we're celebrating the 50th anniversary of the relations between Sør-Varanger and Pechenga, and 10-year anniversary of the introduction of border resident cards next year. And we hope that we'll be able to celebrate this in person. And we do hope for new contacts. And I would like to use this opportunity to congratulate my colleague Lena Berging on her birthday and wish her health in the first place and success in her professional work for the benefit of the municipality. And we are looking forward to a face-to-face meeting to give her an excellent bouquet of flowers. Happy birthday once again. Thank you very much, Andrei. Even though we are in a hybrid format, we've touched upon a very important note. So I think we will join you in your congratulations to the to Lena Berging, and she is going to be speaking right now. So Lena, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much, and thank you, Andrei, for the great warm congratulations today. Okay, dear participants of the plenary session of the Russian-Norwegian Cross-Border Cooperation Days, dear colleagues, all organizers and participants of the webinar, I'm pleased to greet you all on this webinar on behalf of Sør-Varanger Municipality. The Russian-Norwegian Cross-Border Cooperation Days have become a good tradition. Though we cannot meet in person, let's make use of the opportunity to meet digitally and discuss relevant topics for future development. We are looking forward to taking part in the exciting program of the webinar. Today will be a webinar on green business in trilateral dimension, where both Russian, Norwegian and Finnish companies will participate. For the municipality of Sør-Varanger cooperating with both with Pechenga in Russia and Inari in Finland, it will be a good opportunity to get an update on relevant matters like green business and tourist development. The future belongs to green projects in energy production, sustainable ways of transportation and environmentally friendly solutions. The initiative to hold a webinar on natural tourism is also very important and timely, now that we are leaving behind us the tough times we have been through during the pandemic and starting to look ahead. Reduction of greenhouse gases is one of the main political priorities in Norway for the coming period. There is a green hydropower producer in Sør-Varanger municipality, Pasvik Kraft, exploiting the water resources of the Pasvik River together with Russia and Finnish colleagues. We are looking forward to learning more about other green projects during the webinar today. The politicians, administration of Sør-Varanger municipality and the local tour operators have been working hard to establish a thriving tourism industry in the region. This industry was experiencing growth and optimism before the pandemic. Kirkenes, located in the northeastern part of northern Norway, has been known as the capital of the Barents region and the gateway to the east. The local tour operators have produced a wide range offer of tourist activities to visitors from Norway and abroad. During winter, activities like dog sled trips, snowmobile tours, northern light and king crab safaris are offered. In the summer, you can go fishing giant crabs or take a riverboat to the Russian borderline. Kirkenes is the turning point of the Hurtigruten coastal steamer. During the winter seasons 2018 and 2019, the hotels were fully booked by the Asian tourists. Then suddenly all the activities came to a complete stop in spring 2020. All of a sudden, people were forced to stay home because of a virus, and the tourist branch had to face a new reality with almost no jobs at all. It will be very interesting to learn about the experience of the local travel businesses, including their way of coping with the latest challenge and focusing on nature tourism, which is the topic of the webinar today. Day 2 of the program will contain a seminar on partisan warfare in the region. We are looking forward to interesting lectures touching of a special history. I wish you all a successful webinar. Thank you.
Лена, спасибо вам большое.
Thank you, Lena, because this is a special day for you, but you are together with us. And again, on behalf of all participants, I would like to greet you and send you the best wishes and join to the bouquet of flowers that we will give you when we meet and we continue our work. And now the floor is granted to the head of the Norwegian Barrett Secretariat, Lars Georg Fordal. Lars Georg, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Yuri. Dear Consul Generals, dear colleagues, friends and neighbors, thank you very much for the initiative to have this meeting. I am glad we can keep in contact across the borders, no matter if they are closed. But of course, we are only waiting for the time when we can come back to open borders. And to be brief, of course, to work with the border as something that binds us together, that is something we try to do more and more practically and concretely. I'm glad we can celebrate the birthday of the mayor. Congratulations. But also we all, actually everyone in this meeting has anniversary next year, because it's 10 years since we could open the visa-free zone between Nikel and Kirkenes and Zapoljarny. And to make the Arctic or common borderland better for business, make it more interesting, maybe have more education, culture and young people, and to have more opportunities. This is of course our common interest. And I'm happy to see a positive development already next week in Tromsø, when we have the ministers of foreign affairs from Norway and Russia, and also Sweden and Finland, to meet when the chairmanship of the Barents Cooperation goes from Norway to Finland. And to mention my hopes for our future meetings, I want to invite you all to take part in the Kirkenes conference next year, hopefully physically on the 23rd and 24th of February. I want to mention some projects that we try to work with now. One positive point of the closed border is that it gives us some time to plan ahead. One thing that we work with has been mentioned also earlier for you. We are now in the phase that we hope to launch an electric border shuttle in a test period during the summer or autumn of next year between Kirkenes, Nikel and Zapoljarny. And at the same time, we continue to work for a permanent solution for such a transport. We see that there are technical and practical questions to solve, but we hope to success in cooperation with several of you around this table, because there are different technical but also some bureaucratic questions that needs to be solved to have such a common transport solution. But we hope this will be a success. And for next year, we are together with Norwegian universities planning a education delegation to several Russian universities, many in the Barents region. And also we are planning some at least digital or maybe hybrid events during 2022 regarding an innovation and entrepreneurship project with the name ICE. And I'm lucky to say that although we have not met so many physically, we have involved Russian, Norwegian, Finnish and Swedish youth. So a number of events will be held in Rovaniemi, in Murmansk, Arkhangelsk and Luleå, dedicated to innovation and creation of new businesses. Because this we see as maybe one of the main goals, to involve young people and to create new ideas. So this is what we all need, and to work for this together, I see a lot of potential with this. So it is very much going on in the Barents region. It's interesting to see. Now we have had a Norwegian active chairmanship of the Barents Cooperation. Now we are starting with the Russian chairmanship of the Arctic Council. A bit different structures, but everything is actually about our common borderland and how we can develop. So while we wait for open borders, we have exciting times. So with this, thank you very much for this meeting, and I look forward to see you all again when we can meet physically. Thank you.
Спасибо большое, Ларс.
Thank you very much, Lars. I would also like to thank you for building your speech around the future. That is very important. In your presentation, you spoke a lot about what the Norwegian Barents Secretariat plans to do. I really like the word planning. And I also liked that you mentioned youth, because we realized that whatever we do it for the sake of tomorrow. Thank you very much. And we move on. And I would like to give the floor to the representative of the Norwegian Russian Chamber of Commerce, Olga Danielson. The floor is yours, please.
Thank you very much, Yuri. Dear colleagues and friends, I'm very happy that you have given me the opportunity of speaking to you on this arrangement for the first time. I noted that this is the 11th time, and even though I am a resident of these regional areas, I have never had the pleasure of participating in this arrangement before. For those of you who don't know what the Norwegian Russian Chamber of Commerce is actually doing, I will say some few words about that. And we are now presently the leading business network for Norwegian and Russian business. We are promoting cooperation and trade between Norway and Russia, and we have been active for very many years. And since all of the participants in today's meeting knows that almost everything that is happening in the modern world today is about the North and the Arctic, the Norwegian Russian Chamber of Commerce has decided to open an office also in the North to strengthen the position and to promote closer business cooperation in the North. We all know about the triple helix model, which is based on cooperation between government, academia, and the business community, and that is the innovation circle that is driving development further, and we need to work tightly on this. I mentioned that a lot of the things are happening in the North, and we are, of course, speaking about adapting to climate changes. We know that the climate is changing. We are not fully agreed on why it's happening, but we definitely agree that we need to adapt to this. At the same time, we have a technological revolution, which is turning almost everything we are doing upside down, including digitalization that many speakers have been mentioning earlier today. We also heard about the emerging trade routes, in particular the Northern Sea route, which is very close to us and which brings a lot of opportunities. And we are in the middle of the energy transition, which also gives a lot of benefits to the regions that we are residing in. And in addition to this comes, of course, tourism, which is a growing business for all of us. But let's agree that we have some common challenges and we have some common opportunities. And me personally, I don't believe that we could solve all these challenges alone, and we need to work together on them. For the business community, it's extremely important that we are able to cross the borders because it's difficult to establish new relations based on digital media. It's more suitable for maintaining the relation that you already have. So we do really hope that it will be possible for us to cross the borders in the North as soon as possible. And the reason that we are eager to have that in place is that we have a growing interest from Norwegian companies that are willing to and really interested in coming into the Russian North and the Arctic to start working on some practical cooperation for the future. So we are short of time. So I think I will just stop my intervention by this. I will also participate in the Green seminar later today. We will discuss a little bit more concrete. And let me close by saying that we are really looking forward to the day that we could cross the borders again, come meeting you and sit around a table and do some practical discussions on how we are going to develop a fruitful cooperation together. Thank you very much.
Господин Даниэльсон, вам тоже большое.
Mr. Danielson, thank you very much. And for me, specifically for being laconic, because you concentrated in your intervention the major ideas that we all can't wait when we can resume our physical contacts to discuss the current status and the future. And now I would like to grant the floor to Alexander Romanov, the first deputy of the head of Murmansk Customs Office.
Добрый день, Мурманская таможня, рада приветствовать всех.
Good afternoon. The Murmansk Customs is happy to welcome all of you at the Norwegian-Russian Cross-Border Cooperation Days. We are going to give you some statistical numbers for the movement of people and goods across the border of Russia and Norway in the 9 months of this year. In terms of vehicles, cargo vehicles, there has been only 2% increase. 1,320 vehicles. As for individual vehicles and physical persons, in the 9 months of this year, these numbers had a significant drop. Individual vehicles, we only had 3% versus 2020 and 17% in terms of physical persons. The trade remains stable, so it's Russian fish from Russian vessels coming back into Russia, and we are exporting for timber, fish supply, ship supplies, and energy equipment. Imports was 1,200 tons, and exports were 1,500 tons. An important tool for cross-border cooperation is cross-border trade and mutual investment in fields like minerals extraction, both onshore and offshore, development of aquaculture, both at sea and on land, use of port infrastructure for not just for cargoes, but also for passengers, and exchanges in different fields of culture and education. And in addition to economic issues, we also need to create conditions for streamlining of export and import of goods across the border, including the improvement of cross-border infrastructure. We also need to provide continuous support from the government to companies, entrepreneurs who participate in cross-border cooperation. That's it from me. Alexander, you are really very customs-like, very laconic, very numbers-oriented. Thank you very much. I do hope that this information really highlights not only what you do, but also the character of our relations with Norwegian partners. And now I would like to give the floor to Rune Rautio, representative of Kirkenes Næringshage, the Kirkenes Business Association. The floor is yours, Rune.
Thank you, dear organizers. Thank you for letting us have the floor in this meeting. On behalf of Kirkenes Næringshage, which is actually not having that name anymore. We have changed the name to Urinor, but we are basically doing the same tasks, but in a bigger area than before. We are also now covering the Alta region. I am representing a business organization, so I want to talk business, and in general, I want to talk a little bit about a business as usual. That means I don't want to focus too much on COVID, because the COVID period is something that will hopefully be over quite soon, and then we are back to so-called normal. And in a normal year, the business cooperation with between Sør-Varanger and the Murmansk Oblast is very important. There is absolutely no doubt about that. For Sør-Varanger, it generates some 5 billion rubles per year in turnover for us. It generates around 300 working places in Sør-Varanger. And if you only are looking at the retail trade, the shops, we are talking about some some 425 million ruble in turnover. That means shopping done by Russian customers coming to us. So there's no doubt that this is a very important area for us. At the same time, we see that according to the figures we have, that Norwegians are shopping in the area of 85 to 100 million rubles, also in nickel and Zapolyani. But what is interesting is, of course, that 70% of all Norwegians that are visiting Russia, they are coming with border passport, not with a Schengen passport, or a general Russian passport, I mean. So that means that they, most of them stop on the other side of the border in the Pechenga region. So we think that everything can be improved. And we are seeing now a ease related to the COVID. So we are now restarting the good cooperation we have been having with Chamber of Commerce in Murmansk. We are also restarting the cooperation we have with several research institutions in Russia based on joint projects that we partly have financed by the Barents Secretariat, and hopefully they will be involved also in other projects. But there is an imbalance here. The imbalance is, as I mentioned, that we have quite a big impact on the Norwegian side, but it could be much bigger also on the Russian side. And that requires a cooperation. So for us, it will be a focus in the times to come that we can establish a closer working group, call it a business task force, that can look into how we can generate more joint projects. Sør-Varanger is a mining society. Pechenga is a mining society, and we share a common tradition, and we share a common development, because right now the mining in Kirkenes area is shut down, and the melter in nickel is shut down. So that gives us both challenges and opportunities to find a new basis for cooperation. Because traditionally on both sides the business communities have been leaning on the combinats. Now we have a situation that make it interesting for the business community to diversify the activities. So that will be a priority for us in the year to come, that hopefully will be a COVID-free year, that we can start meeting again. So that is our statement for how we would like to work. There are a very important cooperation going on today, but in the business community, everything can be improved, and that is what we are aiming for. Thank you.
Спасибо большое.
Thank you very much, Mr. Rauto. Dear friends, we are discussing a very important issue of cross-border cooperation, but also it's important to remember the people who are indigenous residents of these lands, who have lived here for centuries, and later other peoples came and started industrial development of this territory. And of course, it is important that everything we do must retain and preserve the nature and also the people who are the native people of these lands. We grant the floor to Elena Rocheva, the president of Public Association in Murmansk Region, Association of the Kola Sami.
Good afternoon, dear colleagues. I would like to thank you for the opportunity to speak about the international cooperation with the Samis, the indigenous peoples of the Murmansk region. Murmansk region is part of the Russian Arctic zone, and it's a border region that explains its intensive development of international contacts with the Nordic countries. And the Sami live across 4 countries, 40 to 60,000 in Norway, 17 to 20,000 in Sweden, 6 to 8,000 in Finland, and about 2,000 in the Murmansk region. And about 72% of the entire territory of the Murmansk region are places of traditional livelihoods and traditional residence of the Sami people. We have 42 Sami communities that engage in traditional livelihoods such as reindeer herding, fisheries, hunting, handicrafts, and collection of wild plants. And we have seven associations, seven Sami associations in the region. The largest of them, the Association of Kola Sami, and the Organization for the Promotion of Legal Enlightenment and Preservation of Cultural Heritage of the Sami of the Murmansk region. And on the 9th of August 2018, an agreement between the Murmansk, the Kola Sami Association, and the Organization for the Promotion of Legal Enlightenment and Preservation of Cultural Heritage of the Sami, with the government of the Murmansk region in the fields of social, and economic, and cultural development of the Kola Sami. There are joint activities of the Sami people that are geared towards development of national identity, social, cultural, and economic development of the Sami people, and development of business contacts with the Sami of Finland, Norway, and Sweden. And the Kola Sami Association and the Organization for the Promotion of Legal Enlightenment and Preservation of Cultural Heritage of the Sami are also members of the Sami Council, an international organization that brings together Sami organizations from Russia, Norway, Finland, and Sweden. The Russian Sami are also permanent members of the working group of indigenous peoples of the Barents Euro-Arctic Council. We participate in the discussion of the issues that are relevant for the indigenous peoples of the Arctic region, such as development of cultural heritage, indigenous languages, traditional livelihoods, and so on. We are now seeing an increased interest to ethnic Sami ethnic festivals that attract a lot of visitors from within the country and from abroad. We have various events, and Nordic guests are always come to various events such as fairs, festivals, and national celebrations that we have here. The Sami representatives from Finland, Norway, and Sweden participate in the celebration of International Sami Day, the Festival of the North, and the traditional reindeer herders days, and summer, autumn, and winter Sami games, and other cultural programs and projects such as the study of Northern Sami and Kildin Sami dialects through music. The Russian Sami also develop intercultural dialogue. On 21-22 September of this year, the Murmansk Arctic State University hosted an international conference on the preservation of the Sami language, and the participants discussed the issues of preservation and development of languages and cultures of the indigenous peoples of Russia and the Nordic countries, and looked at the measures for the support of language and cultural identity. Håkon Christian Moe, the consul of the Consulate General of Norway in Murmansk, and the cultural coordinator of the Murmansk Department of the Finnish Consulate General in Murmansk, Maija Okkonen, participated in this conference. We also had participation by Lene Antonsen, a Sami researcher from the UiT University in Tromsø, Elizabeth Scheller, the Sami languages researcher from the Arctic University of Norway, Annika Passanen, the social linguistics professor from the Sami University of Applied Sciences, and Hauna Otakoski, the Sami language researcher in Umeå, Sweden. In this year, Norilsk Nickel and the Association of Kola Sami concluded an agreement on cooperation and the company will contribute to the sustainable development of the Sami people. It will provide support to the development of culture and preservation of traditional livelihoods. In 2020, Nornickel and the government of the Murmansk region supported the erection of a memorial to the reindeer transport battalions of who provided defense of the Soviet Arctic during the Great Patriotic War. It was opened on the 9th of November 2020, and the Norway's consul Turun Hasler participated in the opening. Thank you so much. Thank you for such a detailed account. You know, I was listening to you, and it reminded me of our legendary historian, Alexei Kiselev, who is very well known. He just turned 95. I remember I recorded an interview with him and asked him about the Sami, about the indigenous peoples of this area, and he said we must preserve them because they are indigenous. They were born on this land, and it's us who are the newcomers. And so thank you very much for the work that you do and for your collaboration with your colleagues in Norway and other Nordic countries. And the final presentation today will be made by Jan Solstad, representing the Norwegian branch office of the Cool Arctic program.
Good afternoon. More than 100 years ago, our borders were open. We remember for more trade, and the recent decades are more contract open rather than contact open, and it's out of our control. And we have an important instrument for funding, and we accept the requirements necessary to use this instrument. And the Cool Arctic has been mentioned, and this is a program by EU or EU-Russia, and this is the border of our cooperation. I came to Warsaw from Vardio even in the previous century, and each 7 years period, the EU decreases the Interreg budget. Norwegian budget must have half of the contribution in the Cool Arctic projects. For Finland and Russia, it is only 10%. It means that the co-financing in Norway is more important. Also, the sharp decrease of the funding brings disbalance in Norwegian projects and less opportunities for smaller companies or cultural organizations to participate. Now we are having 24 ordinary and 17 micro projects ongoing with Norwegian funding. They all are good projects. Some are related to environment and transport. We can mention 3 projects: BTEC, Arctic Skills, and Bridge. All of them are with the Norwegian lead partner. These 3 projects complement each other, and in a sense, they all are for young people. BTEC is targeted at school children until under 16 years. It promotes interest in mathematics and biology, and they get familiar with good companies. Arctic Skills is a project for school students from the age of 16, also to promote the status of technical professional education in many fields. And hopefully next meeting will also be partial in physical format in just 2 weeks from now. Bridge is for students of college or university. The project has been awarded the Arctic Awards in 2020. This is an Interreg project for Northern Territories. It's got two lead partners in Finnmark and one from the Alta University. They provide a plan for the regional development. It is great that not only these projects are performing technological revolution and transfer to digital. The results of the program is 1/4 lower than the plan, but it is great to see how these 3 youth projects survived the coronavirus. The process of preparation of the new program for 7 years is ongoing for the period 2021 to 2027 since last autumn. And usually the process is bigger than we can imagine first. And also this happens in the previous programs. So we have changed the name. It will be Interact Next Kalartik. Environmental themes will be more prioritized than before. The program is multilateral, and it means the priorities for the projects. Because Norway is responsible for its funding, it could be better to be on equal terms with Russia and Finland. We are 2 marine states with logical common interests. For me, it is natural if we include our bilateral interests into the multilateral project of Kalartik. First of all, this is the Arctic Ocean, where the southern part has been called Dormant Sea before William Barents came here in 1590s. Resources and environment protection in the coast areas of the Barents Sea is very important. But when the new program will be launched depends not on us. And when this happens, please remember that there are the branches of the Secretariat in North Norway and in Finnmark and in Murmansk, at least. I think what the program is doing is more important than our long-reaching plans. Thank you, Jan. You are doing a great job with your colleagues, and I believe all the participants of our plenary session today also emphasize the importance of such collaboration. And summing up, I would like to say, dear friends, that it is very important not to get lost in today's conditions. We continue to talk. We have preserved and we have gained new experience, and we are ready to address new challenges of today. I think the key words in this conclusion that I am making is us. We keep in touch, and thank you all for participation, and we continue to work at the 11th days of Russian-Norwegian cross-border cooperation. Thank you very much and take care.